Good afternoon, brothers and sisters in the Lord. Today I want to come to you and ask you a very important question. Actually, it's a question that Jesus asked his disciples. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, he asks a very pointed question. In reality, it's the one question that we all need to answer. So I'm going to go to the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, and I want to pick up reading with verse 13, where the Bible says, "Now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he was asking his disciples, his followers, 'Who do the people say the Son of Man is?'" That's the question. Who do you say the Son of Man is? Who do I say the Son of Man is? People are asking this all the time. Who is this Jesus? Well, the disciples obviously were mingling with those who were following Christ and wanting to hear and see what he was going to do. And obviously they were great discussion as to who Jesus was. As the disciples were listening, we see in verse 14, "And they said," in response to the question, who do the people say that the Son of Man is, in verse 13, "And they said," some say John the Baptist, and others Elijah, but still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. Well, that would rank Jesus up there pretty high. John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, or one of the prophets. Obviously, the people or the crowds around thought he was something special. They really couldn't put a finger on it, but they knew that he was somebody from God. Perhaps a prophet. Perhaps one that was told about many years ago. After the response of the disciples to who do the people say that I am, Jesus goes on to ask his own disciples. He said to them in verse 15, "But who do you say that I am?" Now understand that the disciples have been eating with him. They've been sleeping pretty much in the same place. They've been watching him do miracles, listening to his teachings, just observing him. They were the ones that were most intimate with him while he was here. They were the ones that Jesus chose to follow him, to reveal himself to. And then we see in verse 16, Simon Peter, the one that tends to be the mouthpiece for the disciples. Simon Peter in verse 16 answered, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." That is the answer to the question that we asked before. Who do the people say that I am? Who do you say that Jesus is? That is the important question that everyone has to answer about Jesus. Who is he? Now, we try to get book knowledge. We try to listen to preachers and pastors. We try to look at history books. And yet some still miss who Jesus is. Why is that? I think it's because of the very next verse. In verse 17, "And Jesus said to him, 'Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, because flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven.'" Brothers and sisters, when it boils down to it, it is God who draws us to him and who reveals to us through his Spirit that Jesus is the Son of the living God. He is the Christ. He is the Messiah. He is the anointed one. He is the expected one. He is God's Son. And once we realize that, and once we open our heart to that truth, our lives begin a whole new journey. It did for the disciples, and it will for you too. So I ask you today, who do you say Jesus is?